obviously you released your memoirs last year. Memoirs, is that?
Book of Silliness,
Book of Life.
Yeah.
How was that experience? Did you enjoy doing that?
I did enjoy it. I think it kicked in when COVID kicked in. Obviously, for everybody, it was a mad time. For me, my family had just moved to another area right before COVID kicked in. I was like, oh, interesting. Right, so this is going to work, like anybody. I hate saying things like this, but they're paying the bills. I did it because it was always touring, for me, always being on tour.
Absolutely, that's your bread and butter.
And then, of course, I was at home, but from a creative point, I didn't know what to do. In some ways, so I jumped into making as much music as I could. Then here and then I got asked by my publishing company, which I did a deal with during those times. If you'd be interested in doing a book. And I thought, well, I was half joked about it, why not? And things seemed to come quickly, like, photographs, and I have a memory for a lot of those times, more so than other things, which it's just, so it was, I didn't think I could actually write it myself, so I had a friend of mine, Dave Everly, who I'd known for a long time. He came down to Napalm to Malaysia when Napalm played down there years ago, and we've always been kind of kept in touch. So I liked it, because I can, as you probably tell, talk.
That's
so
wonderful for me.
so it was good, and it just, I don't know, maybe it was the time. It seemed the right time. It was towards the tail end of COVID. I guess all things were starting to open up.
Right.
But it was.
Was it like a series of interviews you did?
Just a series of interviews, really, and meanwhile, life's obviously happening towards the tail end of it. My mum passed away, and that was quite, as it does. It had quite an effect on things and stuff. And I thought, well, why not do it, really? And people seem to have reacted well to it, because I didn't know. I was ultra paranoid. I'm like, is anyone going to really like it? Because I gave it thought, but not like it wasn't some grand design. It has to be this or this. It was just trying to be honest, I suppose.
It is very. Well, you have to open yourself up fully, haven't you? So I can imagine that it would have been nerve-wracking putting that out there, because you're literally saying, "That's my life,"
Yeah, well, I think I know some people probably would have issues with that, and maybe would remain more private, but I suppose part of what's been going on for me lately is an exposure of honesty, I suppose, because I'm not perfect, and I'm not always a nice person, and so all these things matter to me, and in the process of me trying to work out where I'm moving towards hopefully being a better version of me, it just seemed a really good move.
It's like a purging of sorts.
Well, it's I mean, I still was never 100% understand the. I've been on this what they call an individuation for about 4 years. Through a close friend of mine, I became aware of the works of Carl Jung, which is a philosopher. And I guess as a creative person, I suppose some of the archetypes, the metaphors, spoke quite strongly to me. I think in the early years, some of it was really just an artistic use in Dark Sky Burial, because that was simultaneously happening, But over the years, through various things, really, life, I suppose, more and more things are making sense, because I think I talk about this in the book a little bit, that the life on the road with Napalm Death or Brujeria or anyone else, at some point I was doing 3 or 4 bands a year, not being at home, and so when COVID hit, I struggled because I have a family, and I struggle now even still. It's just very hard to balance the two, because I'm always away at play. There's
a structure when you're on the road.
Well, there's a structure. There can be a structure at home too, but it's like and honestly speaking, I mean, memories flew out of my head for the book easily. Like this morning, my wife goes, "Well, when's Zumi's test? My daughter's test. When's your daughter's test?" I can't remember. Not because I want to be an asshole. It's just my brain works in different ways.
Yeah.
That's just being honest. Another month, but and of course that must be frustrating. So I'm trying to balance. Not just that word, but trying to pull all this in. Because I understand that that is frustrating. But again, to some sort of cliche, all my life, from about the age of 6 or 7, was band. As soon as I saw Slade on Top of the Pops with their crazy guitars, the crazy hair, and this colour burst out, I said, "Mum, I want to do that."
Yep.
So she would drop me off at my grandmother's. How old must I have been? Yeah, it must have been. Maybe I was younger. I don't even know. But back garden, there's all bloody chickens running around, blah blah blah. I used to grab my grandma's buckets out and I'd beat the crap out of it. Every week she'd have to replace them. And so here I am now. I've gone off on one of my tangents, as I tend to. But so it didn't. I mean, I think Danny said to me, "Are you comfortable being so kind of open?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, really, because people are gonna, even if people are gonna think either way of you. Really, you can't control." I think Anthony Hopkins said a good thing recently. You can't control what other people think of it, and it's actually none of your business in some ways, which I thought was very interesting. He said that in a way, but I was like, well, yeah.
I associate with that man a lot as a fellow autistic person. It's like, the way the thinking works. It speaks to me, Anthony Hopkins in particular.
A very interesting guy, and of course, I've got a lot of respect for him, really. For sure.
Absolute. So that was the book. And alongside that, you just touched on it there, Dark Sky Burial. Now, a lot of people obviously know you from Napalm Death. Dark Sky Burial is your personal project, really, isn't it? It's where you get to do your electronica. Yeah,
we talked quickly before. I think when people get surprised with Napalm Death or any band members, but if you love music, really love music, then it's like anthropology or something or whatever, or history. I've said this a couple of times. I'm going to have to nick it again, but Buzz from Melvin's, who's a good friend of mine, always calls himself a musical anthropologist. And it's a brilliant term because they're known for one thing, but they love all kinds of stuff. It's like they put out a rock album. Next thing you know, they've just done a cover. They did a covers album of bloody White House. It just comes out of that, and you go, "Well, I never saw that coming." But that's I love that. In the early days of Napalm and the vinyls days when you just, who's this band in NME, My Bloody Valentine or Dead Kid Dance, go and have a look for that. And you didn't know what it was because there was no Spotify, there was no YouTube to check it out on. So I really got into bands like Coil. I really loved Coil. I'm trying to remember how I got into Coil. I think it was just me and my friend Mitch.
Because the Snow album was my entry for them.
We heard them. I think what it was is we had a few pen pals in London that we stayed with, and they were into Celtic Frost and stuff. But they also loved like Current 93 and Coil and Whitehouse, Throbbing Gristle. And I was like, "Oh right, so this band Coil." And I remember we went to Rough Trade Records, and the guy was like seeing us in the denim cut-offs, going, "This is not
heavy metal."
I was like, "Yeah, we know." Yeah, I think I got like it might have been Scatology or something, or something somewhere, and I just loved the loops of sound that they did. And then of course we went to Skinny Puppy and things like that. Mickey we were all into that kind of stuff, especially in the early 90s where we all shared the same house. We all listened to each other's music, so it was brilliant. And I really wanted to sort of pursue that kind of side. Around 94, 95, like I said, like a friend of mine borrowed my Atari ST, and that was it. Adios. I should have pursued it, but didn't, because the live shows were happening all the time. It was around about the time of Fear Empties Despair.
Oh yes, you would have been peaking about it.
So it was just constant.
Yeah.
And unfortunately young as well, so we'd come back on off tour, and it was like, all right, like, what we do? Oh, I guess we go and see Smashing Pumpkins and get drunk. And 2 days later, we'll go and see Sonic Youth and get drunk. And then that was, that's what we did.
It was a good time for music.
It was great, yes, so that was that. And then prior to COVID, I'd started to on tour with Brujeria. Got my iPad. Look at my iPad here, this garage band. Let's see what it's all about. And I just got into that, and while everyone else is partying, I sort of was in bunk and just created loads of small loops, and different kinds of sounds. Probably 200-300. I've still got loads left now. And then started researching on some of the plugins I'd like to get, sound libraries, so to speak. And then that was about 2018, probably 2017, 2018. And then of course was putting tracks together, but a bit nervous about how to do it. And then when COVID kicked in, it seemed a good idea to put that first album out. And it was really born from there. It was like, I had the name Sky Barrel, and my friend Russell said, well, what do you call it? Dark Sky Barrel? I thought, that sounds good. It's got a ring to it. And at the same time, I was reaching out to my friend who was a Jungian analyst. So all these things were kicking in. And I find electronic music like really soothing and a great way to... Music, I think, has always been, for many music or poetry, any creative, it's very creative form of getting those emotions out.
Absolutely.
And I find electronic music specifically a good way.
It can be very meditative.
And some stuff just seemed to just come out. I'd enhance the ideas I had with different sounds. And during the COVID, during the week, I'd be with the family, and the weekends I would spend here and just zone out. Maybe, it was again a little two lives in a way, really. So I'm still dealing with trying to push all that together. But yeah, it just seems endless to me. Dark Sky, the possibilities. They're like the newest album's just come out last week, and that's the 9th album. I like digital is a great way of just putting stuff out, but I think the small fan base I have are now going, well, where's the bloody vinyl? I want some CDs, so I've got to really get honing on that. I think, but
maybe an anthology or something.
Well, there's going to be I guess not so much a compilation. I wouldn't call it a compilation, but there will be a vinyl coming out later this year, which will have some select tracks from some of the early releases. And fingers crossed, people out there are into it, and then we can then start putting out the albums properly on vinyl and stuff. I did like a lathe cut of the first album, like 50 copies only. It's quite expensive, the lathe cups. So I like the idea, but it's expensive.
Very exclusive, yeah.
Yeah, so I was like, I get it, but not quite, But to me, it's pretty much where I'm going, I think. I suppose. I've always wanted to, in a way. But I'm also trying to bring other influences into it now. Like, there's a couple of albums already recorded, which weren't necessarily Dark Sky at first, but because I'm quite obsessive in my head, I'm laying the groundwork towards those, those records, and then hopefully playing some shows live,
Awesome, yeah. Also, it'd be remiss for me to do this interview without mentioning, obviously, the way we organised this interview was because we met at Brujeria show in Leicester early on this year, and the sad news that's came through this week, my condolences, of course, it's a bit of a sad time, isn't it?
It's a real tough one, and it's because how you process someone passing, someone close to you, can vary, I guess. I knew Peach was quite ill for a while, but expected to see him a few more times. Yeah. I only saw him a couple of weeks ago because I got asked to go over to Hellfest Festival. Dirk from Boyram, who's a good friend of mine, who plays in Megadeth. Now, I did a thing called Savage Lands, which is, or with a band called Savage Land. It's kind of it's an artists helping save the rainforest. So it was fun to go and do that. Andreas from Sepultura was there, and Sylvia from Gathering, so quite a few people. But Brujeria played that night, and my plane was delayed because if I'd have got there on time, I'd have been able to just jump on with them to Hellfest, which would have been now in my eyes something quite monumental, really.
Yeah,
because that was Peach's. I think Peach's last show. But yeah, it's. I didn't expect that really.
No.
I knew he was a bit ill. But that's not yet.
Yeah.
And
I know when I saw them at Leicester, full of beings, he was leading the charge.
Peach always was. I mean, it's. I think it was really hard for him towards the end because he was ill. But Peach was sort of like he's always like he was. Because I thought he was the one that got. I always thought he was the one that got the crowds going, and I think the fans related to Peach. They related to everybody, but really Peach because he was really one-on-one with them, And it's a shame. It's I think the funeral is next week. We got to get Napalm. Napalm with us. I wanted to go over. I can't. There was a chap prior. I knew he was in hospital and stuff, but it sucks. Yeah. I mean, I think. As a subject, it's really. It's just life. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
Yeah, absolutely.
It is. I met Peach in 1991.
Yeah.
This figure came up to me at Seattle and goes, "Hey, I'm Brujo's cousin." And I'm like, "Oh, I'm in for trouble."
Yeah, this could get mental.
This could be a mad night, and it was a mad night.
Yeah.
But he'd always go out of his way for you.
Yeah.
It's. I can only imagine what the other guys are feeling, especially Brujo is his cousin.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's got his kids. It's bullshit. It is.
Yeah, I mean, I brought it up only because I thought we should pay tribute to the man. The short period of time I had with Brujeria, it was quite memorable, I have to say.
Yeah. I mean, I've had some. Brujeria was originally never going to play live. It never was, and then.
No, I remember when the first tape came out.
And well, I mean, meeting the Brujo guys. I mean, I think it might say in the book, but I mean, I met them through Billy from Faith No More.
Right. Yeah, of course, because he played bass for them in Richmond.
But also they went there because they went to school together.
Yes.
And Billy would always tell me, "I got these friends in LA you got to meet." I said, "Who are these?" They did this band called Brujeria, and I'm like, "All right, sounds fun." Because you met them, and Dino was part of the troupe at the time, and it was like that was the early days when you're young and you don't really have much of a care. It was just mad, and then eventually I ended up recording with them. I remember the first album, Matandueros, was just Bro was like, "Well, if you're gonna do it, you gotta do it tonight." I said, "I'm going to see Alice in Chains." He said, "I don't care, if you're gonna do it, it's tonight." So me and Jesse, bless him, went to see Alice in Chains. Alice in Chains, Screaming Trees, and Grunt Truck.
Right.
And we knew Grunt Truck guitarist Tommy because he used to be in The Accused.
Right.
So we got the back got Snooky in the back. Me and Jesse had a few beers. I had my bass in the back. And Jesse said, "Got to go up to bloody Glendale to record this record." So I went going, we're absolutely bollocksed.
Yeah.
And recorded the record. I still say I've got a video of it somewhere. I've got to try and find it. And Peach or Junior telling me, he goes, "You can't be that drunk yet, Shane, so I can still understand what you're saying." And it was like, "All right." And but that was it was mad times with Brujeria recording sessions. And of course, 10 years later, we finally played in Chicago. But Monterey show, the second show in Mexico, I think maybe 2003. It was reminding me of the very first few Napalm shows I'd played because the energy.
It was just anything.
Was just was insane. And you don't take gigs for granted, but there's every so often there'll be that gig where it's just got this infusion of energy, and it was just nuts. I mean, now I think of it, I remember because Peach would be on my side. I looked at him and I go, "Peach, this is insane." There was like 1,500 people packed into a 700 capacity venue.
Mental, absolutely mental.
Yeah.
But I mean, that last Brujeria album, I really enjoyed.
That's good. It's turned out really good. I mean, Anton, his full credit musically pretty much did most of that stuff. You know,
Such a breakneck record.
Yeah, I think the one before was a weird one in a way because Dino had kind of quit or whatever was going on, and I was trying to write some riffs that I felt would be the progression from the one before. Mm-hmm. But it's really hard to pinpoint who wants what, and you're trying to, And it was just trying to get that album. It took forever to do that record. Like it was like 10 years. We recorded it three different times. So it finally came out. Of course, it managed to get us touring again, which was good.
Yeah.
And then Anton came in, but I think I hate. There's a period where I had to play guitar, and I hated playing guitar. I like playing guitar, but you can't do that. That's not my style. I'm sort of more loose and punk rock, I guess, and weirder. Whereas Dino's style is much more choppy,
Yeah, very choppy.
And it's fucking hard to do that. He's great at doing that. But Anton's is nails it.
Yeah.
But I think he's really nailed the new album musically with that nice blend of sort of bandito old school.
Yeah.
With the...
It's got enough crazy in it.
Yeah. And of course there's just parts where because the test of a good Brujeria track is if it makes you laugh.
Yeah.
And if you laugh, it's good. Bro, I think he sent me the one, I don't know what it was. It could be the title. Is it the title track with the trumpets?
Oh, that one, yes, that one.
And of course he's just saying, what do you think? And I just started laughing. And he's like, that's it, then it's good. I'm like, it's amazing.
I remember when I heard those trumpets thinking, that's genius.
Because he'd been talking about the trumpets for ages. Of course, I was there. I was like, I'll program you some trumpets. He's like, no.
It's not right.
Of course, it hasn't got the same classic cornet kind of vibe.
Yeah. It sounds like pure Mexican.
It's brilliant. And as soon as I heard it, I just fucking cracked up, and I was just like, in a good way. It's the same way as when I first heard Voivod, with my friend Mitch. We were laughing, hitting the floor, going, fucking, how amazing is this?
Insane, yeah.
That was the sign of just brilliance.